as I'm going through today, we're talking about Microsoft PowerPoint, but if you have questions, please, oh, please, oh, please drop those questions in the chat. I hope that today you learned something. PowerPoint is, I feel like, one of the faithful, tried and true programs that I feel like has been around a while and that we all have a little bit of knowledge about. So I'm going to ask a couple questions. Tell me in the chat. Are you familiar with Microsoft PowerPoint? Do you use it either for work or for personal use? Just so I can get a pulse and see how we feel about it. Okay, I see some people say yes. Work use. Yes, me too. Me too. Okay, so I'm going to show you, hopefully, even if you are a user of PowerPoint, hopefully today you learned one new thing. Hopefully. That's always my goal, to learn one new thing. So today's training, you'll be able to use for personal use, but the goal, our goal for our team, we wanted to continue to empower our parents so that they can assist their students. And so I'm going to take you on a kind of tour. If you use PowerPoint at home, you probably have some type of a computer, a PC, and you have PowerPoint installed. For the use of our students, though, each student in our district had the opportunity to check out a Chromebook, and Chromebooks really work with Google, but because of some extensions and some things that we've equipped them with, they can have access to Microsoft tools on their Chromebook. Okay, so that was a mouthful, but all that means is that they can launch Microsoft even though they're using a Google type tool. Okay, so right now on my screen, you should see my Launchpad. My Launchpad is our single sign-on that all students have access to for all their applications. So you'll see all the things that are what they use in school. Okay, and so in order to access your Microsoft tools, though, as a student, or if you're a district employee, you can access Microsoft online tools by going to your email. So if you're helping your student with something at home, have them launch my Launchpad, it'll come up, and then they're going to click their school email. Okay. And then once they click their school email, in the top right-hand corner is a thing called an app switcher. I call it the waffle because that just sounds way more fun than app switcher. And so when you click the app switcher, you have all of these different Microsoft tools. Okay, so I launch my Launchpad and I go to my email. And then right here is PowerPoint. And that's what we're going to look at today. Hey, Miss Bird. So we're going to look at that. Okay, so when you open and you launch PowerPoint, you have some different options. In the top, in this top row, you'll have the ability to create a brand new presentation. And the thing that I love about PowerPoint and many other tools is that you can either start from blank or you have an option to choose and begin from any of these themes. And the themes kind of give your presentation a little bit more sauce, make it a lot more exciting to look at. Okay, so we're going to start a brand new blank presentation. When you start a blank presentation, it's just going to look like this. Not going to see very much. These boxes are defaulted and they're text boxes. But before we jump into that, we're going to take basically a tour of this ribbon up here at the top and kind of learn the functionalities of the different parts. So your very first one starts at home and it gives you these options here. Okay, so from home, you have the option to create a new slide. So I can just click this and create a new slide. Or if you notice, there's a little drop down box that gives you the option to change the type of slide you create. Okay, so I have title slides, title and content, all these different types of slides that I can add. My default one just came to the slide with content. The cool thing is, let's just say vacation, because I need a vacation in my life right now. So when I type vacation, as my title up here, I can add content here. There are little grayed out boxes down here. Anybody ever notice these? These do things. Yes, don't we all? Yes. So these little grayed out boxes give us the option to add content directly to our slide. Now they live in other places and I'll show you where they live, but I like that Microsoft gives us the option to just add things right here. So if I wanted to add a table to my slide, I could click that table button and it's going to ask me, how many columns and rows would you like it? And of course it defaults. Let's just say I want a 5x2. And when I click OK, it drops a table into my slide. Now, I don't know if anybody, if you're like me, you're like overload and looking at all the things. When you edit things, things start to change here. So when I added this table across the side, I started getting these suggestions over here in the designer mode. If you're like me and I like things to look a little. I want them to be visually appealing, but some of us may not have that creative flair. The cool thing that Microsoft now has is this designer option, and it's starting to populate some different options for me. So there are different. Maybe I want my table to be like this, or maybe I want it to be like this. So it took my title and it also allowed my table to be different. So it's just placement. Okay. So all of that came from just clicking that box that was in the center of my screen. So I'm going to keep us on the home tab, but I'm going to do a little bit, give more of a tour. My other options down here, besides adding a new slide, I can change the font of the content on my slide. So there's different font options. If I select it by highlighting it, I can come over here and choose a different font. I can increase the size if I know what size number I want it to be here, or I could use these arrows with the increase or the decrease. I can use bold. I can italicize, and I can underline. So those are just the things I can do with my font. I can also highlight the text here. If I use this drop down to the right, I could change the color. I can also, I want to show you what the highlight looks like. So that's it highlighted, highlight, not sure which one that is. If I don't want it, I can go back and say no color, but I can also change my font color here. And at first glance, it just looks like these are all the colors that I have access to. But if you click more colors, then you can custom create a color. If you're feeling real excited and on the wild side, you can choose your own color there. Okay. So all of that lives under the home tab in this row down here. Now, if ever you're in any program and you see 3 dots, those are it's called an ellipses or ellipsis, and it contains more information. So if you ever stayed up late watching those infomercials and the host goes, but wait, there's more. That's what I think of when I think of the ellipsis. Wait, there's more. So if I click there, I get more options for my font. I can strike through the text, so I can cross out. I don't really like that. Take that off, but I can also do sub and superscripts. I can change the case. Yes, there is separate shipping and handling. John, you're gonna have to go on the road with me. You're right on, spot on. So yes, so I can change and make it all capital, all lowercase. So just different options for your font. All of that lives under home. Okay. If I wanted to create a bulleted list, I'm gonna create a new slide so I get some more space. So I can create a new slide. If I want to create a bulleted list, I can click the bullets and begin to type. Maybe I want to go to Italy and I want to go to France. I don't know. That gives me a bulleted list. But off to the right hand side, you also have the option to make that bulleted list a numbered list. Okay. Maybe those numbers aren't what you really, really want. So remember that drop down list allows you to do different types of numbers. So maybe I want it with the parentheses or different options. So within the program, anytime that there is a drop down arrow, it's going to give you more options on that tool, or the ellipses is going to give you more. Remember, wait, there's more. Okay. So we have that. The next tile gives you the option to change your text alignment. So either left justified or right justified or centered. So that gives you your different alignment. These are just your different paragraph indents if you're trying to do that. I also wanted to show you guys your options to add various shapes. So if I came in here, I have a ton of different shapes that I can add to my presentation. So if I dropped a square and I can change its shape, and when I double click it, when it's selected and it has that line around it, I can change the color of it by coming right next to that with the paint can and changing the color. And then right next to that is the shape outline. So there are tons of ways that you can switch it up and make it look the way you want to. That arrow again gives us more. So if I needed a thicker line around a shape, I could use that drop down and go to weight and increase the weight. Or maybe I wanted a different kind of line. Maybe I wanted it a dotted line. So you see how that's changing the formatting of my shape, but I gotta have it selected, okay, in order to do that. So all of that lives right here, okay? So we have different shapes. Something else that lives under the home button in Microsoft PowerPoint that I absolutely love is this dictate button. Tell me in the chat, has anyone ever used or heard of the dictate button? I got some personal that you have. So I've used dictate with my students as a classroom teacher, but also with my own children. So I now have a fourth grader and I have a first grader. And when my oldest was a little bit younger, I used this dictate button. And what the dictate button allows you to do, I'm going to click it. And what it allows you to do is it is transcribing what I'm saying. It's like magic, y'all. Look at that. So if you have a student that may have difficulty typing, maybe it takes them a while to get their thoughts out when they're typing. I'm going to click stop now. Then it basically will transcribe that information for them. Now, what do you notice? There are some red lines here, right? So it may not always capture correct capitalization or grammar. And sometimes my good old Southern drawl comes out and some of my words are not pulled in correctly, but it definitely is a great starting point for even grown-ups, right? It's basically like your talk to text feature if any of you guys use that on your cell phone, okay? So that is the dictate button, and it allows whatever you say to be typed right there on the screen. That lives in all Microsoft products. It's called Dictate, okay? The cool thing is, just in case you wanted to know, that drop down to the right of Dictate, there are a plethora of other languages that can be used as well. Yes, it's a really, really good feature, guys. I like it for our littles, but also for our older students too. It helps, but you got to make sure you tell them that those little red squiggle lines mean that something's wrong. So if they right click, it'll tell them either suggestions. I have my Grammarly connected, so it's reading what is incorrect there. So refresh. So just in summary, our home tab is where we're going to get just the basic things for our PowerPoint, how we add text, how we add different content to our slides, okay? Ooh, Grammarly is like, how would I describe it? It's like your proofreader on steroids. It's a free program. It's an extension that I've added to my browser, so it catches more things than just the spell check in these tools to me, because I need my grammar checked. So it's pretty awesome. That's a good way to say that, Lori, a great English teacher that's watching you all the time, and I have it in my emails and everything. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so let's check out some other parts here in PowerPoint. In the Insert tab, you're going to see some of the same things that we saw when we were trying to create a new slide. So for the purpose, I'm going to go here and create another slide just so I have a blank space. But under Insert, I can still add a new slide. This is a new feature that's been added called reuse slides. And what that does is if you have a slide that you use in another presentation that you want to pull into this one. If you notice, when I clicked reuse slide, it brought up all my presentations in my OneDrive. So all of the things that are stored. So I could essentially, I'll click this one. I could essentially pull up one of my PowerPoints and pull in a slide from another PowerPoint. I think that's amazing. So if it's something that you use often, like for example, in my role, oftentimes I have a slide that has maybe a welcome message and I don't want to always recreate it. Now I can reuse the slide and pull it in from another presentation. That's something new that was added that I absolutely love. Okay. So you can reuse. Again, we've already looked at how to insert a table. Now in this option, we also can insert pictures. So I can click insert a picture and I have options. I can go to where there's a picture saved on my computer or my OneDrive, or I can use Bing or stock images. And what Bing is not really my favorite search engine, but it's a search engine like Google or Yahoo. I can search for things. So if I were looking for, I'll keep the thing going, an image about vacations, I can search that, and then the beach. So when I click it, it's going to have an orange square around it, and then I just click insert and it'll drop it right here into my presentation. Okay, so there it is. The great things that I'm sure Ms. McGovern would appreciate is the whole copyright thing. If you notice, this has like a citation of where this photo was taken, if they knew who it was, and it gives the licensing information. I know you so well. Yes, I do. Okay, so that's under pictures. You have all those different options of where you can add a picture. We already talked about shapes, so I won't talk about that again. Icons is kind of neat because there are different outlines or icons you can add. So this one caught my attention, so I can click it and click insert, and it's a little icon. You can use them for bullets if you wanted to, different things like that. So icons are cool. And then this is something that I actually really have used a lot. I'll delete that. Is smart art. And so if you, in your role, or if your student has to create like a flow chart, or I'm a science teacher by trade, so there's a lot of diagrams and charts in science. There are all these different types of charts. Maybe they have to do a project on the life cycle of the plant cycle or something. I could insert a different graphic, and now I can hit the text box and type what I need here. So it goes from being a scene. You see that? It takes roots or the different parts. You see that? So now it's adding that information to my little flow chart. I absolutely love that. Okay? It is, because I don't have to necessarily. Now, if you were really, really fancy, Evan, you could use the insert shapes option, right? I could come over here and I could insert a circle and I could create this by hand, but who wants to do that? Nobody. So it gives you the same functionalities, but yes, it makes life a lot easier. So that lives under insert, smart art. So all of these different types. Maybe on your job, you're tasked with having to create some type of presentation where you got to show data and something. You can use that information. This one's cool to me. Maybe some type of timeline or something. You insert it, and then you can just add the bulleted list there, and the text will populate right there. Okay? Y'all still with me? All right. So I'm going to delete this. I'm creating new slides so I can get some more space, guys. Okay, so we're still under insert. I think we've talked about all of these things except for text box. You kind of get a text box already. Yes, we're in a shared space, the joys of shared space. So yeah, we got a couple other friends in the office as well. So we are I can insert a text box if you don't necessarily want to be confined to this space. You can add a text box wherever you want. If I go back to insert, I can add a footer, meaning do you want the footer to like page numbers where it tells you your slide number? See how that created that right there? So you can add that as well. And the other thing I wanted to show you guys under insert, the other thing I wanted to show you guys under insert is audio. Very similar to the dictate option, but when I click audio, if I have recorded audio that I want to add to my slide, I could do that here. Okay, so that lives under audio. There is a way that it'll let you record real time. I'll show you where that is, because you can also record your presentation after you've created it. I'll show you guys that too. Okay. So we have insert audio. So if there's already recorded audio, and then online video is the same thing. If you have a video saved somewhere on YouTube, or some Venmo, any of these, Vimeo, any of these, you can paste the URL here and it would drop that YouTube video or that video there. Okay. So all of those were under insert. I'll go a little briefly over some of these other ones. Draw is just that. It'll allow you to draw on the screen on that. The design tab. So under design is kind of, we talked about it briefly at the beginning. You have options for all these different templates. So instead of this white background, if I click that, it'll change the formatting and style. So I might like this design, but maybe I want it to be lavender instead of green. So I can click whichever one I want. There's a drop down as well. I can use any of these. And if you find one that you like, but you may not be in love with the color, over here to the right, it'll give you more options of that same layout in different colors. Okay. You also have the option to change your slide size. I usually don't too much fool around with that, but it is an option. You can change your background colors. So you can use a solid color, or you can make a picture being your background, or you can launch this cool thing called the Designer Wizard, which will give you all kind of things over here on the right side if I launch that. So it'll tell you like you're gonna have some great tools. If you launch that, then you'll be able to walk through the wizard and find out more about designing. Something that people often like in PowerPoints is transitions. So transitions take you from one slide to the next. So I can, right now I'm set at none, but I can choose to morph, and it'll kind of show you what it looks like. So I can choose cut, I can choose push, and then when you want to use that one, if you like it, then you can say apply to all. A good rule of thumb is not to have a whole lot of transitions or a whole lot of different transitions in your PowerPoint. You don't want people getting dizzy. And if you want to know what it looks like, you can always go up here in this top right hand corner and click the present button, and it'll show you what it looks like. Okay. So all of that lives under transitions. Animations are very similar, except for animations are just that, animating the things that are on your page. So if I wanted to, I think I'm still on the drawing tool. Oh, please, let's go back to the select. So that was a good rule of thumb. I still had the red pen selected under draw. I had to go back and change that to the pointing arrow. So when I'm under animations, if I select this table, and right now it says no animations, if I click fade in, you notice it gives it a number, and now I can preview it and see what it looks like. So now when I click, that table appeared. I think I chose, which one did I choose? I choose just to fade. I chose to fade it in. Okay. The present button lives in the top right hand corner. It lives in a couple places. So if you want to see what your participants would see, you can use the present in the top right hand corner. This drop down gives you options to either play from beginning, rehearse it with a coach, and I'll show you about that. That's actually a cool feature that they've added, or present live. And then it also lives down here in the bottom right hand corner. It's the little, I guess it's like the little old school present screen that used to pull down, that was retractable. That's what that kind of reminds me of. So that also will allow you to present that chase. And it also lives under this button that says slideshow, and then you can present. And yes, you are right, John. The F5 button, I just clicked it on my keyboard. If you're on the web version, which is what we're working on, and I'll explain that in a minute, it doesn't, yes, in the browser, it refreshes your screen. It doesn't present. If you're on the desktop version, F5 would allow you to present your PowerPoint. And I might just be talking to John on that one if that was a little confusing. Okay, so we've kind of taken a great tour over these items right here, the different tabs in PowerPoint. Your slideshow allows you to either present from the beginning or choose the current slide that you're on. But I wanted to show you guys something cool that's a new Microsoft update. It's a couple things that are new. One of them is using subtitles. So what this does is it allows live captions of your presentations. So what you're saying will automatically be transcribed, just like that dictate tool, for the people that are in your session. And the cool thing that Microsoft also has partnered with and been able to do is participants can also choose the language that they're able to see your subtitles in. Did y'all know that? It's pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. So what in order to do that, under slideshow, if you want to use subtitles, you would click slideshow. You see over here where it says subtitles, you can turn it on to always use, or if you say no thanks. If I turn it on and I go into present mode, I can choose where I want them to be. I'm going to say, let's say below the slide. Now, when I go into present mode, like I did, look at that, y'all. That is so amazing. So now when I'm talking over a presentation, my participants have the option to see my, what I'm saying. So I like that. That's pretty cool. So that's all lives under slideshow. How many of you guys practice a presentation before you actually have to do it? Am I the only one that does that? Every time. So the cool thing that Microsoft now has is called Rehearse with a Coach. And so what that will do is when I clicked Rehearse with a Coach, and it popped a little box down here at the bottom. And it's telling me that as you rehearse, we're going to give you feedback on what you say. Now, I'll tell you guys some of the feedback that I've had. I do a lot of, I say, So if I start rehearsing and I begin and or I pause, see what it says? Try not to use many fillers like, it's coaching me. I think that's amazing. So the Microsoft, I'm going to come back out. The other thing it does is it gives you a rehearsal report. So it tells you about how long your presentation is, and it gives you feedback. But y'all, so I was the kid, I was a latchkey kid, and I had to do my homework while my parents were at. I needed someone to rehearse with. Now I got my own rehearsal coach right here. I think it's amazing. I feel the energy. It is unbiased, because when your kid is telling you stuff or rehearsing, sometimes you want to not like kill all their dreams, right? So this is really cool because they can practice and you can give them feedback, and then they can practice with the rehearsal coach and get feedback. And it's probably going to be some of the same stuff that we say, right? But for whatever reason, they'll listen to others. So I love that option, both for personal use and also for our kids for their academic use as well. So the little feedback is cool. It tells you some stuff, tells you about your pitch. Great job at your inclusive language was excellent. I just thought that was cool. Now, mind you, I only did 15 seconds. If this were a real presentation, you would get more authentic feedback there. Okay, so that takes us under all the things that are for slideshow. Our review tab allows us to spell check. So that button gives us a spell check option. I love this option for accessibility. Microsoft is really they're big about inclusiveness for all people. So whether you have visual impairments or different things, what it will do, this accessibility check tells you, hey, you have images here that don't have alternative text. So someone that might be using some assistive technology won't know what those things mean. So I love that option. Those are really cool. The other thing that lives here that you might find interesting is if you were working collaboratively, you could see the changes that other people made. But I'm in this document by myself, so that won't be as efficient there. Okay. So we're rounding up here. The view tab allows you to view either in the notes view, take this off, notes view, or you can like see your whole slide. If you're wanting to see the entire slide deck or presentation, you could do that. I'll go back to normal view. So those are our different tabs that we're all a part of. A couple of things that we didn't touch on. This Microsoft, by accessing it through our internet, is a web-based version. So the web-based version is awesome because it lives in the cloud. It lives in your OneDrive for storage. I love the web-based because no matter where I am, I don't have to worry about that I saved something to a certain computer or my flash drive or I lost something. It all lives here in OneDrive. And so if you've noticed up here, how many people remember or were ever victim of doing some really, really great work and forgetting to click save? It happened to me so many times, probably more than I want to admit. The great thing with web-based tools is that this presentation is saving right now to my OneDrive. Okay, so see how it says saved? To the left of the word saved, if I click that, now I have the option to change the file name. And I'm going to say PowerPoint. I can also determine where I'm going to save it. And the cool thing is this version history. Version history is really awesome. I've done something, I'm like, I think I want that back to be, I messed up, or maybe I made some corrections or changed something. You can restore an old version. So maybe you were working on something. John was my partner. John went in and he deleted 10 of my slides, and now I'm angry and think I have to start over. No, you don't. When you go to this drop down and click and click version history, I can restore the version from 29 minutes ago by choosing it. If I determine that I want it, I can just say restore, or I can save it as a different copy. That right there has saved me in a lot of situations, restoring different versions. Okay. So today's all about learning different tricks. I know that you were like, PowerPoint, man, I know PowerPoint. Hopefully you've picked up a couple of new tools or things you may not have known. So that all goes there. The final thing that final few things I want to show you guys before we finish up is your sharing options. So if we're talking about student use, if you are working with your child and they have a presentation that they have to create, their teacher may ask them to share it with them. And what that means is right here in the top right hand corner, they have the option to click share, and they can either type the email address of their teacher. So they can either type this here, start to type their name. I always share things with Casey. So I can click that and share it with her, or I can get the link and copy it, or I can email it right here. You got to be careful though when you share things with people. And this, when I clicked share, see right here where it says anyone with the link can edit. I might not want Casey to edit my PowerPoint. Maybe I just want her to view it. So then I need to make sure that I click this and uncheck and apply. So now, what do you notice now? It now says anyone with the link can view. So when your students, or even you, when you're sharing your documents, make sure that you're giving everyone the rights that they need. Either they're just going to view the document, which is probably what most of mine would be. But if I were collaborating with someone, I would allow them to edit. Okay? So then I could just send that to her and she'll get a notification. Or if you're like me and you kind of have trust issues a little bit, I would copy this link. It says copied, and then I would go to my email and email it to her. That's just because I'm a little extra sometimes. Okay? So those are our sharing permissions. Okay? That covers all of the things that we are to cover today, but I did want to show you a couple things that I thought might be practical for you guys. When you save, or when you go under file, you have some options. You can, all those things, you can new, you can open, but save as. I have some options when I do save as. Not on a Chromebook so much, but if you use for your personal use on your own machine, you can save this as a copy online, or you have the option to download this to your computer. So I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys that as an option. The other thing that you can do in Save As is download a slide as an image. So if you've created a whole PowerPoint and maybe you have pictures on there, or you want each slide to be captured as a picture, you can click Save As and download as images, and each of your slide would essentially be a JPEG that you can have access to. Some people use those for different things. Wanted to make sure that I showed you guys that option. Now, I've done a whole lot of talking. I think I've answered some questions as they have come up, but talk to me. Tell me one thing. Anybody learn something different that you didn't know you could do in Microsoft PowerPoint online? Yep, that dictate tool, that'll change your life. Yes, 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 yes. Those are two great features, guys. Hopefully it's something that will be beneficial for you or your student, or